everyone, and welcome back to the Clever Report. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I drop another video. So we're going to talk about three important news stories trending in Nigeria currently. The first one being the KWANKWASO merger, from the ADC, African Democratic Congress, and the EL-Rufai case that has been, adjourned. His bail hearing case has been adjourned in Kano by Kano High Court, and the clip making rounds on social media about the Lagos State Commissioner of Police saying that the police has no right to search anybody's phone without appropriate warrants from a court of competent jurisdiction. So these are all the things we are going to discuss on today's show. So sit down and enjoy the show. Now, the KWANKWASO movement that have actually merged, I'm not surprised because these people are the two main opposition. Their love and their movement is being grassroots and is being mobilized by the youth. So I'm not really surprised that they've come together for consensus rather than dividing their votes amongst their electorates. So this is in their own perspective is a welcome situation. So there's a new story on this from the Cable, so I want us to read it. In a statement issued on Monday, Justin EJ, the movement's National Publicity Secretary, announced the appointment of the members into the National Executive Council, zonal and state structures. EJ said the movement was launched in response to the growing public dissatisfaction with the nation's worsening economy. Nigeria stands at a defining crossroads. Today, as our people endure the weight of unprecedented economic hardship, the soaring cost of living, and the persistent shadow of insecurity, the KWANKWASO OK movement formally announces the unveiling of its national and state structures. Statement reads, "This is more than a political milestone. It is the birth of a coordinated nationwide engine for systemic reform and national rebirth. We recognize the exhaustion felt in every Nigerian household, from the farmer unable to harvest in safety to the entrepreneur stifled by a volatile economy. The struggle is real. Yet in moments of darkness, the OK movement stands as a beacon of resolute hope." So I'm not going to read all the statements, but basically they've come to a consensus. They've seen that merging together is they become a formidable force rather than splitting their votes. Now I kind of saw this coming because I know KWANKWASO is not a foolish person. Obi is not a foolish person. They know that they are both powerhouses, from the KWANKWASIA movement, the grassroots movement, the Red Cap movement coming from Kano, and the obedient movement, coming from the southeast, but has actually, flustered around the west, the north. So I kind of understand where they are coming from, merging together, and they've actually left Atiku, in the red. Basically, I don't think Atiku is very popular. I know he will still contest under the ADC, but personally, I don't think he's as popular as he thinks he is. Over the years, being the former vice president, he has been somebody that has been cross-competing too much, and people see him as part of the establishment. Yes, Obi was a former governor, KWANKWASO was a former governor, but they actually, near to the grassroots than Atiku. That is my own assessment. So, they have addressed issues of economic hardship and everything. And this is a very, very, sad situation for the APC, the ruling government, because Obi's movement is strong, KWANKWASO's movement is strong, and when they come together, it's a very, very, powerful force. So I know the APC will find a way to, disrupt what is happening with the way they are, allegedly, even though we all suspect or we all speculate, we all intrinsically know that the whole rancor within the ADC is being sponsored by the All Progressive Congress, allegedly. But even though they have not come out openly to say it, but we know how they do divide and conquer. They come to a political party. If there is a reasonable opposition, they come, buy the consciences of certain people there and then sow a seed of discord. This is their MO, allegedly. So this is what I genuinely think. So the Obi and KWANKWASO movement is coming strong, from the Justin EJ, the publicity secretary. He cited economic woes of the country. And anybody living in the country right now that denies that the basic, human rights or the basic work of the government, which is protection of the lives and properties of these citizens, is not being taken serious. Nobody can deny that under this administration. So good for them, good for the ADC, and a nightmare for the APC. So in other situation, we want to talk about the El-Rufai case. You know, the bail hearing was adjourned to June. So, and there's been speculations online and every other thing, but I want us to watch a clip of his solicitor, the barrister representing, you know, El-Rufai, telling his base to calm down and everything. And after the video, I'll give you my personal take on what I think is actually happening with this El-Rufai's case.
You understand? So don't sit around here and mock as if anybody died. Nobody died. This is a long-term conflict. It is not a short-term fight. So brighten up your faces. Don't allow that man inside there. Don't allow these jokers to win in this battle against this man. Okay, this man changed the face of this town, and this is the reward he's getting. And all of you are acting as if somebody died. Nobody died. In a conflict, you have good. Sometimes things work against you in a conflict. So don't be frightened. Do you understand what I'm saying? So sit up. Don't go acting as if somebody died. Nobody died. All right? Stand up. We're going to take this battle and we're going to win. Gentlemen, the court in its wisdom decided that because Unseat Apc is a former governor, therefore he is going to interfere with investigation. Therefore, he's not entitled to bail in an allegation of financial impropriety. So we are grateful to his lordship for the learning that he has shown, but we respectfully disagree. So that's the end of it. There's not much more to say.
So what's the next step?
The next step is to take the legal steps required to challenge it.
When is the adjourned date?
It has been adjourned to the first week of June, day to day, to deal with whatever is in the file.
Do you perceive any political undertone on all this?
From the beginning, everything about Unseat Apc's travails have always been political. This is merely the legal arm of it. We'll deal with what comes. They file papers, we reply. That's what the law requires us to do, and that's what the law says they should do.
Now, I don't think El-Rufai is a good guy. He's alleged that he embezzled, money laundering, and every other thing, corruption and everything. I don't think personally, because he was part of the cabal that was supporting President Buhari and everything. That was denying the killing of Christians. He's not a saint. El-Rufai is not a saint, but you cannot deny that he's a smooth political operator. Since the ministerial appointment did not work, he has been opposing this government, this APC government. So, and I was asking myself, if El-Rufai was a minister under this administration, and in this administration, would this case would have been brought? Can, like, the whole legal quagmire he's in now, would he has been suffering like this? And we all know the answer. We all know the answer, that is a big fat no. That this is just a political witch hunt. He might actually have been guilty of all these things, but the problem is that these people are not intellectually honest, because if he was still with the APC, they wouldn't have brought these charges, and everybody knows that. I don't trust the judiciary in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say it. I know certain my friends that are lawyers and everything, some of them will take an offense to that, but it is actually a fact. I don't trust the judiciary. They are corrupt. Most times they do the bidding of the president. So I don't think this is happening in good faith. If it was happening in good faith, I would say yes. They are trying to hold him accountable, but all these things are happening just because he's opposing the particular government. And that thing is that this is like calculated political strategy to take him out of the playing field till June, because the case was adjourned to June. So few weeks or a month before the ADC primaries, so that El-Rufai, I know people call me a conspiracy theorist for saying this, but this is what I genuinely think. El-Rufai is being taken off the chessboard so that he won't be like a smooth political operator. He won't have an influence in these ADC primaries. So, from a political standpoint, you kind of get that APC, you know what you're doing. We know that you're trying to take this guy off the map, or from a human and corruption, or I don't know, from like a human perspective, you know that APC is just playing dirty, allegedly. It's so obvious that they're playing dirty. It's so obvious they don't want El-Rufai in the playing field when it comes to the ADC primary. So I know, let's keep crossing our hands and waiting for what is going to happen in come June. And they might get to June, the typical judiciary, fashion in Nigeria. They might get to June, and then they'll still adjourn it to like 2027. Who knows? This is what happens, in the country whereby democracy and the rule of law is not being adhered. So uh, I don't know if I would say I have empathy towards what El-Rufai is going through, because it's part of the establishment. It's part of the establishment. Just that the people rejecting him are not doing this in good faith. So let's just keep our fingers crossed and wait till June and see what is going to happen. Now, the Lagos Commissioner of Police is coming out to tell us that nobody has the right. The police doesn't have the right to search your phone without a warrant. Well, don't take it from me. Let's hear what he has to say.
Now we know that what we are doing is the right thing. We are not. We don't entertain any fears of anybody recording us. You can record us. We can record you as well. It's on both sides. So we are not entertaining anything. Anybody can record any police officer at his duty post. In as much as the police officer is doing the right thing, he has nothing to fear about recording. So anybody can record us while we are carrying out our lawful duty. Our men have been warned not to search any phone from any individual. We are there to search the vehicles. We are there to know who is inside the vehicle, and to be assured that the people have boarded the right vehicle and not the vehicles of these hoodlums who will take them to the destination where they are not supposed to be.
It's funny, they always come out to say this, the former IGP, they always come out to say this, but we in Nigeria know that if you're at a checkpoint, the police is checking your details or your particulars and everything. If you bring out your phone to record them, as this guy is saying, everybody knows that you receive a beating. You might even be shot at, you might be shot at the junction or something. Everybody knows that the police actually checks people's phones, especially young people's phones, without warrant. It is just, it's seen as a normal thing in Nigeria. In a reasonable country, it shouldn't be happening. So this guy coming out to tell us that it is not right, that we have the right to film the police. Yes, on paper we have the right, but who is protecting that right of the average citizen? Even in that Lagos that he's talking from, even in that Lagos, everybody knows, the youth in Lagos know that you dare not film the police. So he's just coming out to, have this word salad, and on paper, if international news outlets are carrying this, and they will be like, yes, wow, the police in Nigeria, they observe human rights, they don't want to, stifle anybody's right. But that is not the reality of what we are facing in Nigeria. Who besides you? Who besides you actually filming a police officer at a stop and search, or trying to tell a police officer in Nigeria that he or she doesn't have the right to access your phone? You receive a beating, and nothing will happen. Nothing will actually happen to the police officer. So, he's just coming to gaslight us and tell us and tell the international media what they want to hear. But we on ground in Nigeria, we know that this is not the case. It's not the case. So I'm tired of these people coming out to just, use all these fancy words to make it look like we live under a rule of law, a democracy, and everything. We just have an illusion of democracy. We have an illusion of freedom of speech. And it is crazy. Yes, I don't want to sound like somebody that has become, less optimistic, but we want to, before you, solve the situation, you need to address the matter. This is what we face in Nigeria currently. So, I've seen takes on social media. Everybody's just mocking him on social media, saying that even in his own office, if you try to film him, being a public servant, that you receive a beating, you might even be detained. So, nobody should just take what he's saying seriously. He's just playing for the cameras and everything. So that's all I'm going to say about these three, trending news stories. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you'll be notified anytime I drop another video. I love you, but God loves you more.